The house stood alone at the edge of a decaying forest, its shutters swaying with the breath of a cold November wind. Father Marcus stepped out of the taxi, his worn leather satchel in one hand, the collar of his coat turned high against the chill. The gravel crunched beneath his boots as he approached the porch. Paint peeled from the door. No birds sang. He had seen many places like this, quiet homes where silence wasn't peace, but pressure. But this one felt different. Heavy. Margaret, the girl's mother, opened the door before he could knock. Her eyes were red-rimmed and sunken, her hands wringing a damp dish towel. "Thank you for coming, Father," she whispered. Inside, the house smelled of old wood and uneaten food. The lights were dim, deliberately so. Marcus didn't answer. He reached into his coat and touched the chain around his neck, the locket he had kept hidden for over 20 years. Buried once, dug up in grief. He turned to Emily again, his pulse thudding. "Have you felt anything else in the house? Movements? Sounds?" "She hears things," Margaret whispered. "Voices in the walls. She writes things in Latin. But we don't speak Latin." Marcus nodded slowly. He'd hoped this would be another misdiagnosis, another desperate family clinging to superstition. But the girl's eyes, that voice, and now, that secret. He exhaled, long and quiet. "You did the right thing calling me." Behind him, the air seemed to shift, like someone had opened a door that wasn't there. Emily giggled. And somewhere deep in the house, a mirror cracked. He opened his Bible, began to read aloud. Latin verses poured from his mouth with practiced rhythm. At first, Emily only grinned. But soon, her body jerked. Her lips trembled. Then she let out a low moan that rose into a shriek. The bed shuddered beneath her. He opened his Bible, began to read aloud. Latin verses poured from his mouth with practiced rhythm. At first, Emily only grinned. But soon, her body jerked. Her lips trembled. Then she let out a low moan that rose into a shriek. The bed shuddered beneath her. Drawers slammed open and shut. The crucifix on the wall twisted violently until it snapped in two. Marcus stepped back. The floor beneath him felt as though it were rising, warping. Then Emily's voice returned, clear, scared, her own. "Help me, please!" He rushed to her side, but before he could touch her, her body convulsed. She threw him across the room with unnatural force. His back hit the wall hard. Darkness swallowed the edges of his vision. When he rose, she was laughing again, blood trailing from her mouth. Later, in the kitchen, Marcus confronted Margaret and her husband. "She's not sick," he said. "This is possession. I'm certain." Margaret's face collapsed into her hands. Her husband stood and walked to the window. "No. No priest nonsense. She needs a hospital." "She's been to 3, Margaret said. "You saw what she did to him." Marcus placed a small recorder on the table. "I need permission to perform the ritual. Full rights. Tonight." The father looked at him, eyes hollow. "If she dies..." "She won't," Marcus said. "But something else might." That night, he returned to the room with incense, candles, and a vial of holy water. Emily lay still, eyes closed, hands bound loosely to the bedposts for her own safety. As he began the ritual, her body arched upward, and her eyes snapped open, now fully black. She smiled again. "She's gone. Only me now." The walls began to tremble. And Father Marcus knew, the battle had already begun. The candle flames flickered as if caught in a breathless rhythm, casting twisted shadows across the bedroom walls. Father Marcus stood over the trembling girl, now barely recognizable as Emily. Her face was pale and slick with sweat, her limbs contorted in discomfort. The restraints creaked as she stirred beneath them, and the air had thickened, humid and electric, like a storm gathering indoors. He opened the rite of exorcism and began the liturgy. "In nomine Patris, et Filii et Spiritus Sancti." At the first Latin syllables, Emily shrieked, a raw, bone-rattling sound that made the windows rattle in their frames. Her back arched again, and her body lifted several inches off the mattress. The power of Christ compels you, he bellowed. She convulsed. Her voice returned, doubled now, one tone childlike, the other impossibly deep. She's not here. She left you, just like your God did. Marcus pressed the crucifix to her forehead. Her skin sizzled, hissed. Smoke curled upward. I command you, reveal your name. The entity laughed. The room shook harder. Books toppled from shelves. The mirror shattered. Emily's mouth opened wide, too wide, and the voice that came out was not hers. Valak. The name cracked the air like lightning. Marcus stumbled back. Valak, a name from the oldest texts, one he'd seen buried deep in Vatican archives, always redacted, always crossed out. The demon spoke again. She begged for her mother when we came. You watched. You did nothing. Marcus's hands trembled. The guilt from years ago returned, uninvited. His sister's face flashed in his mind, pale, cold, beneath that icy lake. He had prayed, but not acted. And she had died. Now the demon wore her face. Help me, Marcus, it whispered in her voice. No, he muttered, clutching the rosary tighter. You won't twist me again. He threw holy water onto Emily's chest. Her body writhed. I cast you out, unclean spirit! The room erupted in chaos. The lights burst. The ceiling groaned, and black soot rained down from the vents. Valak snarled. You cannot win. She is mine. But I will give you a gift. A bargain. Marcus paused, breath heavy, soaked in sweat. Speak. Give yourself, the demon said. I'll release her. For a moment, silence returned. Even the air stopped moving. Marcus looked at the girl, Emily, the innocent beneath the horror. Her mouth moved faintly. He could almost hear her say please. He reached into his coat and drew the small silver locket, his sister's. He kissed it. I'll do it, he whispered. The candles flared violently. A gust of freezing wind howled through the house, and the doors slammed shut behind him. Emily gasped, and then stilled. Her eyes fluttered open, their natural green returned. Father Marcus? She whispered. But he was already on his knees, shaking, eyes rolled back, blood trailing from his nose. The demon laughed from his throat now, cruel and triumphant. And then he collapsed, unconscious. The house fell still. Emily sat up slowly, touching her face as if waking from a nightmare. He saved me. In the silence, a faint voice echoed from the floorboards. It's not over. The storm outside had passed, but inside the house, silence lingered like smoke after fire. Emily sat curled in the corner of the bed, shivering beneath a heavy wool blanket. Her eyes were wide, but lucid. Her voice was hoarse when she spoke. Where's Father Marcus? Margaret held her tightly. He's resting, sweetheart. He saved you. But they both knew he hadn't walked out of that room. By morning, emergency services arrived, summoned by the neighbor who had seen flashes of light through the attic windows. In her simple room at the Abbey, there was only one photograph on the desk, an old black and white of Father Marcus standing outside a church, hands folded, the hint of a smile playing on his lips. Beside it, a small silver locket. And beside that, a black feather, charred at the tip. One night during evening prayer, she heard a sound behind her. A whisper. Not threatening. Just familiar. She turned, but no one was there. Just a cold breeze through a closed window. That night she wrote in her journal. He gave himself for me. I feel him sometimes, when the air stills, or when someone says a prayer they don't believe in. He's not gone. Not completely. But I know he's not at peace either. He took the darkness inside. And it waits. The final entry was dated the night a new girl arrived at the convent, 9 years old, found abandoned in the city, speaking Latin in her sleep. Emily closed the journal, and whispered the same words Marcus had once spoken to her. You did the right thing calling me. Outside, the wind picked up. The candles flickered. And somewhere deep in the shadows, something shifted. Watching. Waiting.
Please subscribe my channel so you can get everyday new real stories.